Okay, so basically the premise of today's video, I just wanted to run 5 different amps. So I'm playing sort of like a chorusy type riff, or not chorus, so I'm playing a riff. The riff changes every now and again because, you know, just playing the same thing over and over again is fucking boring. Oh, I swore there. So basically what I wanted to do is just run through that riff and just play you guys 5 different amps in the HX Stomp, and then basically you just comment, you just let me know which one's your favorite. Depending on the preset, obviously I'm using sort of 2 cabs, okay, and that's going to be pretty much your Celestion V30 in a 2x12 format. And that's the orange sort of preset, or the orange IRs that you can buy from Celestion. The reason why I use orange Celestion V30 cab as my IR and at 212 is because of this thing here, okay? I know what this sounds like. This is my favorite cab, okay? I've got a Harley Benton cab behind me which uses vintage 30, but this particular cab, I've gigged with it, I've rock and rolled with it as many times as I like to think, okay? So I know what it sounds like and I know how it compares sort of thing with other cabs. I've used other orange cabs as well. I've used 4x12s, I've used Marshall cabs, I've used anything, you know. Sometimes when you're gigging you can't really just take your cab with you, for example, or sometimes when you're playing in a rehearsal space, you know, you don't want to be logging a rehearsal, you don't really want to be logging a cab up 4 flights of stairs, for example. So shout out to Stuck on a Name in Nottingham. You know, hope you guys are doing okay. When I choose IRs, I kind of go with what as a starting point, I go with what I feel like works. I always think that a 2x12 V30 orange cab works. I know what that sounds like. And then I add different cabs as my second cab. So I always split my signal using the HX Stomp into A and B, okay, path A and path B, and I have 1 amp going through 2 different cabs. I did try for presets to have, like, you know, the wet dry sort of thing, or were you doing heavy to have 2 high gain amps, you know, like the Tremonti thing, or a lot of the other players out there, they use 2 different cabs. It just wasn't for me. I just found that always like trying to match 2 high gain amps together just doesn't work. Also at the same time, when I try and match, like for example, I want a heavy preset, okay, I match, because I really like the Cali Mark IV, I match that with, I get it to work and I've got my heavy rhythm sound and I match it with a high gain amp, whatever that high gain amp is going to be. And then for my lead stuff, I try and match it, and you know, the amp that I matched it with in my rhythm sound doesn't particularly work with my lead tone, and same thing with clean or crunch. So I always found that, you know, there will be like a disparity in the sound sort of thing. So for me, it always works from a simplicity point of view as well, just 1 amp into 2 different cabs, okay? So the first amp that I'm going to be playing the riff through is going to be my personal preset for the Mesa Cali Mark IV. I love this amp. I love this amp sim on the, or module, let's say, on the HX Stomp. I think it sounds great. It just gives me everything that I need. And this is what it sounds like. Okay, it's full, it's chunky, it's meaty, it's everything that I would look for in an amp. Okay, so at one point someday I'll say, you know, I am planning to do a video of how I came up with this particular settings for this amp, but as a reminder as well for sort of like how I do my signal chain. So at the beginning there's going to be a TS9 style pedal, okay, where I do it in the boosting sort of thing that you put to do like a mid hump on sort of like any high gain amp. And at the end of my chain, I always put a room reverb at stock settings to give like an overall room sound, okay? Because with IRs you can't really control mic placement, so I just do a reverb, a room reverb at the end, just to give that sort of room vibe sort of thing. So if it works for you guys. If it doesn't, you can always change that. And this is what the riff sounds like with the Mesa Cali Mark IV. Okay, so the next amp that I wanted to show you with that riff, just a couple of changes on the playing on there, is the Line 6 Pedonk. Pedonk? So, yeah, so I basically got this amp from, there was a video, there's a chap that put a really good video on the Gudger's sound and how to get it to try and match the Gudger's sound with the Neural DSP Gudger that came out quite recently, how to do that in the Stomp. Forgot your name, dude, so sorry, but I will link the video in my description because I think that video was absolutely awesome in terms of audio production as well. I think he nailed that sound and you can't actually tell the difference. I'm finding it really hard to tell the difference in that video. But anyways, so the Pedonk is actually one of the Line 6 custom-made amps for the Helix family of pedals, okay, and Helix native as well. So I pretty much did the same thing. So all I did with this particular amp, guys, is I put a distortion in front of it. So I put a Boss Overdrive, Super Overdrive style pedal in front of it, stock settings, and all I did to the particular amp, I kept everything stock and I just increased the drive a little bit. And then I added sort of my go-to sort of like 2 Celestian IRs on there. Okay, and it is quite noisy, but this is what it sounds like. So, this is what the riff would sound like on the track. So the other amp that I wanted to show you guys, just to show you what that particular amp sound like, is another Line 6 custom amp for the Helix family, which is the Litigator. I wish they called it Alligator. Why do you call it Alligator? Such a cool name. Anyways, so the amp itself is basically styled around a Dumble amp, okay, one of those famed amps that you could buy for like $100,000. That at some point, apparently in the 90s, you could buy for a lot less. But whatever, everybody raves about them, everybody talks about them. There's countless pedals based around this particular amp. So personally, I'm really happy that Line 6 actually created this kind of style amp to go into the Line 6 Helix. So I pretty much did the same thing. So in front of this amp, okay, so just to go with the classic sort of vibe or the classic sort of sound that you might get with this amp, I actually put a, what do you call it? A Line 6 Minotaur pedal, okay, again, based around one of those famed sort of pedals on there. And I put 2 Celestian IRs in front of it as well. So I actually put a V30 2x12 high gain on this one. going between two different mics as well, which is the 121 and the 57, okay? And at the end, I put my room reverb, and this is what it sounds like. Okay, so for the next amp that I put on there, pretty much it's going to be the same sort of cabs. So I put a Celestion V30, 121 and 57 mic, because I think for the rest of the amps it just sounded good with those. We've got a Minotaur style pedal, or a Minotaur pedal going in the front, reverb at the end. And for this particular one, I actually used the Line 6 2204 mod, which is basically like your Marshall mod, okay? So if you, so the way I'd compare this particular amp, if you don't really like the 5150 in the Line 6 Helix, I prefer the 2204. That's sort of my taste on there, because I quite like where it went, or how it goes sort of thing. Anyways, enough of me talking. This is actually quite quiet as well, and this is what it sounds like. Anyways, and this is what it sounds like with the riff. Move all my damn off. Right, so for the next amp that I used, I grabbed the Das Benzene Mega amp, which is basically like your diesel sort of like high gain amp sort of thing, or high gain rhythm sort of pedal. Again, I boosted it with a Minotaur pedal, the Line 6 Minotaur pedal in the front, and two cabs in A and B and reverb at the end. This is what it sounds like. This is what it will sound like with the riff. Just to conclude on this video, guys, so I just wanted you to listen to like sort of 5 different high gain amps in the Line 6 Helix, you know, how different amps, you know, because I think that the Line 6 Helix, or especially the HX1, because that's what I used to record my videos, that's what I used to record, that's what I practice with, that's what's on my pedal board. So I think it's a really, really good pedal out there, and it actually, like the high gain amp sort of thing, do have a lot of difference in the sound on there, and you can just pretty much grab any amp that you could see in the Line 6 Helix and turn it into, especially like when we talk about like your Marshall style pedals, your Marshall style amps, your Diesels, your 5150s sort of thing. There's things like the Archon, for example, which is great. I just wanted to show you 5 amps, pretty much are my go-to, like if I'm playing, if I'm recording, if I'm doing stuff. And what they all sound like sort of thing, and what I did to them. Like a lot of these amps as well, just as a precaution if you're watching this video, a lot of these amps are actually put on the stock settings. I didn't change anything, especially when we talk about the Line 6 2204, the Litigator. I changed the settings a little bit, but not too much. All I did with that one is I bumped the drive and the mids. The Diesel style amp does something, does Ben or does Dan or whatever. I mean, you could have called it a different one. You know, why did you go with Das something? Is it because it's German? Anyways, yeah, so that one I kept on stock settings. The Pedonk, I basically just increased the drive on that one. I didn't really play with any of the settings either, okay? Any of the EQ. And it's just, you know, I think they all sound great, like, as I'm playing with them through them here. And it's just to show as well that sometimes you can spend a hell of a lot of time playing through something or adjusting something. Whereas just if you're using like an amp, for example, like other than the Cali Mark IV, I would actually use these amps to beef up a recording. So I would use any one of them to beef up a recording, for example, and just to give it a little bit more oomph, especially if you're tracking different guitars with using different guitars or whatever. So yeah, guys, so this is it. So tell me which amp you sort of like the sound of, okay? I know which ones I like. Obviously, I've got my own preset that I did, but out of them, you know, to me, they all sound great. You know, they're all usable sounds. So yeah, tell me which ones you fancy. And if you like this video, if you like the content that I'm doing, there will always be more videos coming out every Tuesday and Thursday. You can find me as well on Facebook, you can find me on Twitter, you can find me on Instagram as well. If you do like this video, like and subscribe. If you hate this video, just comment below why you hate this video, why not, okay? And yeah, the comments below, just let me know, guys, what you think, okay? Don't forget, my music is on Spotify. Just look for Sama. I'll put a link in my description below. And guys, we'll see you at the next video. Cheers!